We're learning more about the creators of the interrogation tactics under the Bush administration. Contessa Brewer has more on this.
Yeah, David, those tactics included waterboarding, shoving people into walls, and other treatment President Obama now calls torture. ABC News reports the CIA hired 2 military psychologists to develop and oversee interrogations on top al-Qaeda suspects at secret CIA sites. And 2 planners reportedly were paid $1,000 a day to do that. Here's the thing. ABC says these planners had no previous experience conducting interrogations. With me now, Matthew Alexander, who's a former senior interrogator for the U.S. military and author of the new book, How to Break a Terrorist. Matthew, what's your reaction to the fact that ABC has now named and made public these psychologists?
Well, I think it's obvious from the start that these techniques were not developed by trained and experienced personnel who had been conducting interrogations. There was plenty of people who had experience prior to 9/11. They were in the FBI and other law enforcement agencies who had been doing interrogations of criminal activities for years. And as we know now from the op-ed in New York Times by Ali Soufan, that those interrogations were progressing well until the CIA took over and started listening to the advice of some people who weren't trained interrogators.
So the fact that the techniques are now being called into such question, there's a question of whether the creators of these programs, the ones who okayed it, whether there should be investigations and prosecutions. I mean, I heard an interview with you the other day, and you said simply they weren't effective. We should have never been using them because they weren't the most effective way to get information.
There's a lot of effective ways that work. My team and I in Iraq, we used relationship building approaches and police investigative techniques, and we were able to put together a chain of successes that led to Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, the former leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, in a fairly short amount of time. So there are more effective techniques, but the technique of torture has a lot of long-term negative effects, and it's counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish in the war.
And it's also a crime. Let's just say, I mean, if it's torture, then torture is a crime, and therefore those techniques are crimes. Were you ever ordered or asked to use techniques that you felt were morally questionable?
No, I was never ordered to use those types of techniques. In fact, I forbid my team from using any techniques that would be considered enhanced interrogation techniques or torture. In fact, I didn't even encourage my team to use any approaches that were based on fear and control, because I think that's counterproductive to convincing somebody to cooperate.
Have you seen an evolution in the way, Matthew, that the government views these interrogation tactics?
I am told by my friends that are still conducting interrogations and in the interrogation community that there is a change going on, and that at least the commanding general that's in charge of the training at the schoolhouse at Fort Huachuca is starting to look at what other techniques can be included in the manual. Because as myself and other interrogators have found out while conducting interrogations in this war, is that the Army manual it's an okay guide, but it's lacking a lot of techniques that could be included that police investigators are using every day in America.
Well, Matthew, perhaps the Army should be looking at your book, How to Break a Terrorist, the U.S. interrogators who used brains, not brutality, to take down the deadliest man in Iraq. Matthew Alexander, thank you for sharing some of your wealth of information with us.
Thank you, Contessa.